Hello, welcome back to the Arturia B3 tutorial series. Today we're going to finish off having a look at the controls on the main panel of the organ. Just before we do that, have a look at the Patreon link in the description below. If you want to support my channel and you enjoy this content, that's the best way to do it. And just before we start talking about the controls themselves, can you see in Insight we've got this noise? In the first episode that wasn't visible. It's because I manually took it out. What you're hearing here is background noise, and we can actually filter that out by entering this modulation screen, and it's this setting here, background noise. If I take that away, that's what it sounds like when it's turned up. It's just a little bit of kind of authentic vintage emulation, but I'm going to take it out because we want to look at Insight today and I don't want the signal being polluted. That said, let's have a look at these controls. On the left hand side we've got two vibrato switches. Up is for the upper manual and low is for the lower manual. Now at the moment we've only got MIDI channel 1 active on my multi setup, which means only the upper manual is active, but basically these switches are identical, and this turns on and off vibrato. We've got 6 settings. So V1, V2 and V3 are the 3 vibrato settings, soft, medium and hard, and then we've got the same for chorus. What you're going to basically see in Insight when I turn the effect on, with vibrato, the waves will quite clearly dance up and down because vibrato is a pitched bass effect. It essentially oscillates or modulates the pitch up and down periodically. Chorus is a little bit more intangible. It's actually a delay based effect, and you'll see the waves kind of dance. So here they are static with no effect applied. There's the vibrato, and now the pitches are dancing up and down. Here's the soft chorus effect, where it's kind of just basically shimmering. That's vibrato 2, chorus 2, and there's the most intense of the vibratos. All pretty straightforward stuff, and vib low is exactly the same but just for the lower manual. Over on the right hand side, the preamp drive is going to add some distortion or grit, essentially increases the gain to the preamp. And you can see all the extra harmonics being introduced in Insight. You get that gritty sound to the keys. These 4 switches on the right hand side all deal with what's called the percussion effect. And what we're basically getting, and we've been getting it every time I've pressed a key today, the percussion sound is live, everything that I'm pressing. It's an extra tone being added on top of the original tone. If I start playing an F3 and then turn percussion off, that extra tone that you're hearing is coming from this effect. Now the note that you're actually hearing is 19 semitones above the note that I'm actually playing. And the reason for that is this switch over here called harmonic. We're currently set to 3rd. That's basically an octave plus a whole perfect 5th above the original tone, 19 semitones. Now to demonstrate that, I'm going to have to mess with this sound a little bit, because can you see these 2 brown drawbars? These are subharmonics, in other words, tones below the fundamental pitch of the key that I'm playing, and so they're really confusing the situation. I'm going to turn them off. Now when I press the F3, the tune is correctly identifying that I've played an F3. With these drawbars in, it thinks I'm playing an F2 because these notes are 1 octave below the fundamental. So now we're really getting the note that we're actually pressing on the keyboard, F3, but we're also getting that overtone, and you can see it in Insight. It's the note that starts off as loud as the fundamental and then very quickly runs away. It's around about 1K. That's the percussion tone. And if our fundamental frequency is at 350 Hertz, an octave plus a perfect 5th above that is going to be about 1K. Really easy to prove. Turn percussion off and then play a note 1 octave and a perfect 5th away, which is C5, and there we are, 1046 Hertz. So that's the tone that you're hearing. If I switch this harmonic button to 2nd instead, the overtone becomes a pure octave away. So we're going to hear the original F at 350 Hertz, and then the overtone, which very quickly disappears, is going to be at 700. And it's this harmonic here. The reason it's hanging around is because that's one of the fundamental harmonics of the tone that we're playing. And obviously the other drawbars determine how much of each of these harmonics we hear. Two completely unrelated effects here. The percussion sound is always a fixed number of semitones away from the key that we've played, and then the drawbars allow us to colour the individual harmonics of that tone as well. Okay, so that's two of the switches covered, the percussion and the harmonic. Let's deal with the decay button next, which is this one. It's currently set to fast. That's the speed at which the note's disappearing. If I turn it to slow, watch what's now a 700 Hertz peak, isn't it? Because we're in second mode. Watch it disappear more slowly. There it is. Back into thirds, and the peak will be at 1K. There it is. Finally, the volume, we're currently in normal mode. If I switch to soft, you're just going to get a quieter effect. The percussion sound is simply louder. Now that's not quite the end of the story for the percussion settings, because there's some extra stuff we can do. In order to see these extra values, we need to head back into the modulation page. And this section over here deals with the percussion effect. Volume is self-explanatory. This is how we control the relative volumes of the soft and normal toggle switches on the volume. I don't need to demonstrate that, that's completely straightforward. And similarly with decay, so we're currently set to slow decay. So that means it takes 970 milliseconds for that harmonic to disappear. If I make that time much longer, it's just going to hang around for that much longer. If I double click any of these values, it sets it back to basically a predefined default. So what's the default for our soft value? 3 dB. Obviously this setting, this clean jazz preset, had it set to 2.36, but every Arturia instrument has a default value for every parameter that can be acquired or achieved by double clicking it. Volume drop lowers the tone of the original sound when percussion mode is on. So if I just play a note and turn volume drop off, the note's going to get louder. There it is. You can basically see it most easily from the peak. And there's the attenuation or the volume drop. Disable 1 foot is a quirky little one. You're only going to hear this effect if the 1 foot drawbar is actually on. So what it means is when we're in percussion mode, you don't hear this particular drawbar. I'm going to turn percussion off, get the 1 foot drawbar engaged, that really high pitched sound, and now when I turn percussion on, it disappears. And there it's back again. And finally, polyphonic determines when you hear the percussion sound. If I press a note, I'm going to just press a note and hold it down, and then I'm going to play some other notes over the top. None of those extra notes have got the percussion effect. You only get the percussion sound when you play a note when there are no other notes sounding. As opposed to play legato, you only hear it once. If I engage polyphonic mode and play legato, in other words, I'm going to hold all the keys down as I play. Then every key has the percussion effect. That'll do us for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please hit the like button. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks a lot.